Amish Matchmakers and Chantel.
Good morning. And the power of love, as we read the different verses in the Bible, no greater impact on his life for a friend. And I thought that was very interesting, like the expectations of love and lay down your life for a loved one, meaning like mom, dad, brother, wife, dad, right? You're most before that it says lay down your life for a friend. Stranger. And this morning I went publicly for as many years. Rescuing people out of vehicles, about that. And that's a good understanding of someone that potentially could lose their life running into a fire. So anyways, that was kind of my thoughts this morning. Your thoughts on love and laying down your life for a friend. That's what love is versus Ms. Chantilly. What are your thoughts? Oh, she's like, oh, you're talking to me.
Versus what?
Well, versus that, doing it for your family. How much more love it takes to do it for a stranger that you don't even know. First responder.
Well, I think
Camera on you.
I think it definitely reveals, the depth of humanity. When you think about don't think about it. It's just natural. The civilian that pulls over on the side of the road, somebody's wrecked. You know what I mean? That's a heart posture. That's a natural. I think about back to the back from the airport.
Yeah.
Like, I think humanity, most of us have that, I believe, naturally, and I think it actually requires more of a hardened heart that chooses not to do that.
Yeah, and even let's take it one step further. That there's that verse, we've talked about this before, that says that a righteous man, you can know a man is righteous by the way he treats his animals and loves animals. It's interesting. I squirm a little bit. You see, and they do a good job at loving him. a dog walks up to them and they're like, "Ooh, don't touch me."
Or vice versa. The people who have been hurt deeply by humans and therefore love animals only, right?
That's a good point.
There's that. People who are kind of like animal hoarders and surround themselves with lots of animals because they either don't want to or don't have the capacity anymore because they've been so deeply
I always forget
We're back on. We're still live.
Okay, just jump back in. So, all right, back to sharing.
All right. So hope we have good service now. Um, so my word was Psalm 34:13, which was, it's interesting because, again, going back to when we look at a verse in the Bible, if we just take it at face value, we can take it in all kinds of interpretations and our own understanding, right? But when we look deeper, we understand the context and the what the what the guidance is actually there for, and the deep levels, especially when we look to, is the Hebrew is so multifaceted. There's so much depth um, within the Hebrew language. So we're going to kind of dig in a little bit. So Psalm 34:13 is more than just to watch your mouth. The verse says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies. So at first glance, this seems like a simple moral instruction, right? Don't say bad things, don't lie. You know, it's kind of, again, on the surface, who wrote the Psalms is pointing at something much deeper. So again, going back to the Hebrew word keep, netzar, means to guard, to watch over, to protect something valuable. So it's not about restraint through willpower. It's about active stewardship. Um, we understand that your tongue is not just speech, it's power. When we say life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? It is power. Your speech is your power, and your tongue represents that. So in the Hebrew, tongue means lashon, and it represents expression, direction, influence, and the outward flow of what is inside. So your words don't start in your mouth, your words start in your inner world. Okay. So David is just saying, um, watch what you say. He's saying, pay attention to what's happening to you internal. Now, the word evil, ra. I love this right here because, as Christians, we take that word evil and we form all kinds of assumptions and judgments around it, right? But this word doesn't only mean moral evil, it also means harmful, destructive, chaotic, and misaligned. So, evil speech isn't just cruel words, it's the speech that creates damage to yourself, to others, and to relationships. So, when we think about what causes damage and is destructive, especially in relationships, that includes exaggeration, blame, accusation, twisting facts to protect yourself, and speaking from fear instead of truth. Now, we talk a lot about triggers to triumph. So, what happens is, when we're triggered, our fear, our internal fear kicks in, and that's what comes out of our mouth, right? So, that's the raw, the evil in this verse. Then we're going to go to lies, mirma in Hebrew. This word doesn't mean outright falsehood. Mirma includes deceit, half truths, manipulation, self justifying narratives, and saying things that protect an image instead of telling the truth. Um, so, what happens when we speak half truths? Sometimes it comes from our own understanding or our lack of understanding, right? If we're speaking on things that we do not have a full understanding of, that is a half truth. So it's this verse is a very clear direction of saying, listen, speak on what you know fully, right? Um, so sometimes the lie isn't spoken to deceive others, it's spoken to avoid discomfort or responsibility. And a lot of times that happens um, when it's deflecting. It's something that deflects. And so ultimately, the cool thing about this verse is that it's connected to regulation. So when we talk about our nervous system, when our nervous system is dysregulated, again, when we're triggered, we speak from fear, we distort reality, we defend instead of discern, and we say things to regain control. So David is teaching in this verse self-leadership, okay? Guarding your tongue is not suppression, it's choosing not to let fear drive the narrative, which is so powerful. It's so powerful when we really understand what he's saying here. So, the reason this is about integrity instead of silence, Psalm 34 is calling for alignment. When the heart is aligned, the speech follows. When identity is secure, words become clean. When fear loses authority, truth flows naturally. Okay. That's when we're not operating from the place of fear. We're actually operating from the place of truth and life. That's why James later says the tongue steers the whole body because speech reveals who's leading you, fear or truth. Okay. So, for all of us who have trauma or experiences from our childhood that or even in our adulthood, experiences that have created this like paralyzing fear, when we understand that fear controls us, it controls our responses, it controls our reactions. That's that's us. Number one, we have to have the awareness that it's there, and number two, we have to be willing to shift it. We have to be willing to, and this is where we call for humility to say, okay, I'm feeling this emotion rise up, this reaction, but I know that it's from that deeper wound, right? It's not what's happening in front of me. It's not the experience that is, or the person in front of me right here, right now. This is my reaction is coming from a dark place that of wounding. Okay. So in the practical application, Psalm 34 invites us to ask, am I speaking from clarity or reactivity? Am I telling truth or am I protecting an image? Are my words bringing order or chaos? And is my mouth aligned with who I say I am? Um, and the other thing is understanding that we create narratives that support our fear. Okay, so that's it's a mind trip. It's a psychological mind fuck, if you will, that we literally will create narratives that support our fear. You have to be aware of it and you have to guard it. That is exactly what David is saying here. Guard your mind, guard what is internally happening inside of you so that you're not creating the destruction on the outside in your world. Okay. Um, Bottom line, it's not a behavior modification, it's about identity. When you guard your inner world, your words naturally follow. And when your words are aligned with truth, they stop creating damage and creating peace. And they start creating peace. So that was a really powerful word. I loved it.
So good. Our words do matter. And so super grateful. My word was Proverbs 10:28. What you wait for and expect, being hope, that is what Father Papa calls righteousness, is someone who is optimistic, bright, glee, shining, conquers. That's what righteousness is. And the wicked are ones who focus on what's wrong. Everything's perishing. Everything's going to go bad. The sky is falling. And I love it because Papa says, I will give you strength if you will have hope and keep going. So God bless you. Thanks for being here. We are the Amish Matchmakers, and we help you find godly spouses, and we help you have flourishing, epic marriages, and then we will lead by example in creating a legacy that is rooted in freedom, faith, and above all else, love. We love you. God bless you. Have a fantastic day, and give us a shout out, subscribe to our channel, and we'll continue to create some great content for you and things that we're working through and things that we're exploring and discovering in our life. God bless you. Have a great day.